Let's go live to our Brussels correspondent, Dave Keating. Dave, Barnier saying, hours to go. Where do these talks stand?
Well, it depends who you ask. I mean, there is a practical deadline now. The European Parliament yesterday said that it will not approve any deal that hasn't been agreed by Sunday. That's because they say they wouldn't have time to look at it before the end of the transition period on December 31st. And Barnier, of course, this morning, briefing EU ambassadors saying that there is just hours left. He's reflecting that European Parliament deadline. The European Parliament's approval is needed for a free trade agreement to go into effect. On the UK side, they're saying they're working toward no such deadline, that as far as they're concerned, the deadline is December 31st. The reason is that the UK Parliament doesn't need to approve a free trade agreement. It's entirely in the government's purview whether to approve that or not, even though you probably will see a vote by UK MPs. It's not technically needed. In the EU, the Parliament and the member states need to approve that agreement. And so if the Parliament says it won't have time to scrutinize the deal that's agreed after Sunday, it can't take effect. So that is really the timeline they're working toward now. Of course, if a deal is agreed, let's say next week, and the Parliament says we can't approve it in time for January 1st, it's still possible they could approve it in January, and we would just be looking at a no-deal gap that is a temporary period where no trade deal is in effect.
All right, that's a new vocabulary word for our for our Brexit coverage. A no-deal gap. So, what would a no-deal gap look like?
Essentially, it's a temporary period in which all of those tariffs would take effect. You would get probably like a couple weeks, a month, maybe 2 months of chaos while the deal is approved on the on the EU side. Now, this could also be a situation where, let's say, they don't have come to an agreement by December 31st, but they agree something in January or February. This scenario has been posited by some people saying, look, the UK just needs to see how bad this could be before they're willing to make the concessions that are so difficult for them to make. And so it could be that things just totally fall apart in January and the UK says, okay, we can't actually ride this out, especially in the middle of a pandemic. We're going to compromise on level playing field and fisheries. So it's hard to see when exactly the Parliament could approve something. I imagine that if, let's say, a deal was agreed next week and they said no approval by December 31st, they would try to get approval the first week of January or the second week of January. So you could see maybe a January 15th deadline. There's talk that maybe the tariffs that would apply in those first 2 weeks would then be paid back to companies retroactively if the deal takes effect on January 15th. I'm told that it's really going to be difficult even for a provisional application. Lots of people are pointing at that as a way forward, but apparently even just the council would have difficulty giving this a provisional application in just a week's time. So from practical purposes, it does look like Sunday is the deadline. That being said, who knows? Brexit is a very unpredictable process.
It sounds like there's still so many options on the table. Not much time left. Dave Keating in Brussels, thank you so much.